Hello, my name is Mrs. Garbutt and I'm part of the NET English Director team. So what we're going to look at today is we're going to look at English Language Paper 2, question 3, so it's our language question. As we know, with English Language Paper 2, you have two sources, so one's a modern day source and one's a 19th century source. In this case, this is the 19th century source because when you come to the language question, it's a little bit of a gift. You only need to look at one particular source. It's also the same as your English Language Paper 1 question 2, which is language as well, but that's not worth as many marks and you don't get as many minutes, so this is an absolute gift. So as I've said already, this is the 19th century source. This is by Henry Mayhew. He wrote about his experiences of London in the 1800s. In 1852, he decided to ride in a hot air balloon to get a different view of the city and its surroundings. And in this account of his experience, he was published in the Illustrated London Times. So before we start reading through the extract, what I want us to do first of all, just to keep us really focused, is I want us to look at our question. So I've got my highlighter ready. So when I look at a question, I like to highlight the key words, those key focus words, and again, it does keep me on track, so I know exactly what I'm supposed to be focusing on for this particular question. So it says here, how does the writer use language to describe the view from the hot air balloon? So I'm going to highlight how, and I'm going to highlight language, okay? And I'm also going to look at how he describes the view. So I'm going to highlight that as well, okay? And I know it's 12 marks, that's going to keep me focused as well. So straight away, I'm going to look at how, because I know I'm going to be marked on AO2, so assessment objective 2, and then this links to language because AO2 can sometimes be structure, but I know we're going to look at language. This is our key focus. And how he describes the view, so I'm already thinking, right, is it going to be positive, is it going to be negative? It's 12 marks, so I know we're going to spend 15 minutes on this. And as I've said already, this is an absolute gift. I know at this point as well, we've got 3 peel paragraphs that we need to focus on. So once I've read through it, and even whilst I'm reading through it, I'm already starting to decide which are my 3 best quotes I can choose. Okay, let's have a little read through. As we floated along above the fields, the sight was the most exquisite visual delight ever experienced. The houses directly underneath us looked like the tiny wooden things out of a child's box of toys, and the streets as if they were ruts in the ground, and we could hear the hum of the voices from every spot we passed over, faint as the buzzing of so many bees. Far beneath, in the direction we were sailing, lay the suburban fields, and here the earth, with its tiny hills and plains and streams, assumed the appearance of the little coloured plaster models of countries. The roadways striping the land were like narrow brown ribbons, and the river, which we could see winding far away, resembled a long grey, metallic-looking snake creeping through the fields. Then, as the dusk of evening descended, the gaslights along the different lines of road burst into light, one after another. The ground seemed to be covered with little lamps, such as were hung on Christmas trees, whilst the cluster of little lights at the spots where the villagers were scattered over the scene appeared like knots of fireflies in the air, and in the midst of these the eye could, here and there, distinguish the tiny crimson speck of some railway signal. Okay, so we can clearly see that Mayhew is delighted by the view that he's experiencing at this very moment in time. So as I was going through this, I was thinking, right, I'm going to go through and my first one I'm going to pick out is that the sight was the most exquisite visual delight ever experienced. So I'm going to highlight that. The sight was the most exquisite visual delight ever experienced here. So yeah, I'm really happy with that one. So again, I've already said here, we start off and we've got this positive imagery. Okay, was the most exquisite. So here he's using a hyperbole. So he's using this exaggeration really to show how it's unique. So I'm just going to write that it's unique. Okay, then I'm looking at this. So I've got a nice clear overview. I can already start to explain about his how he describes the view. And I'm thinking, right, which is the best word that I could zoom into? So I'm thinking exquisite. Okay. So I know this is an adjective, so I'm just going to put adj, so it's just going to keep me focused. And I'm thinking it reinforces really how it needs to be admired. So I'm going to just put admired. Excellent. Okay, so I've got my first quote. I know what I'm going to zoom into. I know it's a hyperbole, and I'm going to zoom into that adjective as well to describe how positive this is, that he's really enjoying this particular view. As I was reading through it, I thought the next one is just actually directly underneath it. So it says here, the houses directly underneath us looked like the tiny wooden things out of a child's box of toys. Okay, so looking at that, I really like this particular one because straight away I can see it says looked like. So I've got here this nice simile. So this simile here, it almost shows like how creative, like a child becomes very creative. It's like how the earth is creative. So I'm going to write here that earth is creative. Yeah, okay. I'm also going to say actually as well, it's like it's imagination. You know, like a child uses imagination when they're playing. Okay, brilliant. And then I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, right, which is the best that I could zoom into here? And what I really like is the fact that he's used things. Okay, now I know it's really vague, so I'm going to put here that he's got this noun. And I think it's really vague because Mayhew here, he's just speechless by what he's seeing. You know, he can't. He's taking so much in. It's making him speechless, a bit like me at that very moment in time. So it's vague. It's almost speechless by his view. Okay, perfect. So I've got my two quotes. Brilliant. I just need one extra one. Right, I thought this paragraph was really interesting because if we looked through it, it was just a list. It was a continuous list throughout. So I'm not going to, so I'm just going to go like this, and I'm just going to say about this is a whole, this list. So I think this list here really shows how he contrasts the dark versus the light. And what I really liked on this particular one that really kind of showed the shock by this was this, the burst of light. So I'm going to go with this verb. And I'm going to say here, it's like an explosion. And I think it just shows you how he's shocked by what you can see, like delighted by what you can see. Right, so we've got our three quotes. We know exactly what we're going to pick out for our subject terminology, and we know that we're describing the view. So everything that we make in our point, we're going to make sure everything that we mention links back to him describing that particular view. Okay, so put that to one side. So when it says here, how does the writer use language? Nobody should be writing the writer uses language, because it's just wasting time. You go straight into that subject terminology. Okay, so I'm going to start off with, okay, so the writer, and I want them to know that, I want the examiner to know that I can appreciate that Mayhew is enjoying this. So the writer uses positive imagery and I'm going to, through the hyperbole, and then I need to explain what the hyperbole is showing, to show how the view is, I think it's unique, isn't it? It's unique and beautiful. And I'm going to put a comma there. So I've said here, because the question's asking us, how does the writer use language to describe the view? So I'm saying, right, he's using positive imagery, and I'm saying here, he's using this positive imagery through a hyperbole, and I'm going to show you the hyperbole in a moment. And this hyperbole shows that it's unique and beautiful, and again, that links to it being positive. So I'm going to put my quotation in. So my quotation is the site. And remember, when we put a quotation, we copy it exactly as it is because it's in the middle of a sentence. It's just starting with a lowercase t. So the site was the most exquisite visual delight ever experienced. Close my quotation. And I'm going to put a full stop there as well. Okay, so we've got our nice clear quote as well. So here I want to explain this. So I'm putting here that this implies Mayhew, because they're asking us about the writer, and we know his name's Mayhew. Mayhew was delighted I think by this revelation. And I think it's making him seem shocked. Making him seem shocked by the view. And then I'm going to put which is reinforced. I'm going to go straight into zooming into my keyword now, which is reinforced through the adjective exquisite. Emphasizing its rare excellence, I think. Therefore, he is appreciating every minute detail of the scene before it passes. Okay, so there we go. So the writer uses positive imagery through the hyperbole to show how the view is unique and beautiful. So great. So he's describing the view as positive imagery, how the view, so we've got this key word in there. The sight was the most exquisite visual delight ever experienced. This implies that Mayhew was delighted by the revelation, making him seem shocked by the view, which was reinforced through the adjective exquisite, emphasising its rare excellence. Therefore, he's appreciating every minute detail of the scene before it passes. So we've got our nice clear overview, we've linked into subject terminology, and we've also given that hyperbole. We've really zoomed into this one for this adjective of exquisite as well, to show its rare excellence. So moving on to our second quotation. So You can start again with the writer uses, but I'm going to just write furthermore, just a preference. So furthermore, the writer uses a simile. So straight into the subject terminology to show the creativity of earth, or of the earth. And how it has surprised him. Now, we've got quite a long quote here because it says here how the houses directly underneath us look like the tiny wooden things out of a child's box of toys. I don't really need the directly underneath us, so I'm just going to put that as a dot, dot, dot. So I'm going to go with a quotation mark and then houses, dot, 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 looked like the tiny wooden things out of a child's box of toys. Close my quotation mark. So here I'm going to put that it's implying. Again, you can put highlighting, connoting, suggesting. It's almost like it's original, isn't it? So the originality, implying the originality is beyond his imagination. And his expectations as well, really. And his expectations. Full stop. Then I'm going to zoom into, you know, we'd said about this noun of things. Okay, so also, so again, we're saying the exam, get ready, because I'm going to go a little bit deeper for this. So also, the noun, things, and remember, even though we're zooming into one word, we still need our quotation marks, provides a vague description of the view. So it provides a vague description of the view. And I think this really contrasting Mayhew's detailed overview. Probably because there's like too much for him to appreciate. So also the noun things provides a vague description of the view, contrasting Mayhew's detailed overview as there are too many sites to describe therefore its beauty emphasizes how astounded he is. And I think it's like making him speechless because he can't think of the correct word. Okay, let's have a little look then. So remember, focusing back onto our question, we know that we're looking at language to describe the view. So it says here, furthermore, the writer uses a simile to show the creativity of Earth and how it has surprised him. So again, we're looking here, when we're talking about to describe the view, it's creative, it's surprised him. And then we've got our quote, houses look like the tiny wooden things out of a child's box of toys, implying that originality is beyond his imagination and his expectations. So that's a nice clear, because that imagination and expectations links to him being surprised. Also, the noun things provides a vague description of the view, contrasting May's detailed overview. As there are too many sights to describe, therefore its beauty emphasises how astounded he is, making him speechless. Right, so I think that really does explain how he describes the view. And we're on to our final one. Okay, so it's that long list. It was that huge list that we saw. So, because it's the last one, it's my last appeal response, so I'm going to put finally. So, finally, and again, Mayhew, or the writer, whatever you want to put, writer uses a list to show his excitement. Because I always think when there's a list, it's like emphasising something, isn't it? It's, you know, it's reinforcing how maybe excited or shocked they are. So he's definitely excited by this. His excitement of the light contrasting the evening. And I'm going to put my comma in, and then I'm going to put in my quotation mark. Now remember, this is the whole paragraph, so we're not going to put all of that. So I'm going to just start off with gaslight, and remember, when you're copying exactly, so this has got a hyphen in the middle, so gaslights along so gaslights along the different lines of road burst into light. Now I need this bit because I know I'm going to zoom into that verb, aren't I? So I need to have that bit. Then I'm going to put my ... and then I'm going to put some railway signal, and that's just at the very end, because the signal will still be light, so I want to put that in as well to show the examiner. Okay, so I'm going to put here the reference to light. In fact, I'm going to put a quotation mark there. I'm going to put light, and then I'm going to put lamps and fireflies. I'm going to go with that. I want to really make it specific of what I'm talking about. I think it provides a sense of celebration. I think he's like quite excited by this celebration. As the writer can, well, he's kind of elaborating on it now, isn't he? Because he can contrast that light and darkness. So as a writer can elaborate I want to link it back to the question on the view. I'll a full stop there. And then I'm going to go into this burst because I think that's really key here. So the verb burst. I think it emphasises the sudden. It's really happened quickly when something bursts, doesn't it? Emphasises the sudden appearance of brightness. Almost like providing an explosion of light, causing Mayhew to continue his appreciation of the view, even as night falls. I might just add a little bit on here. So this seems to have surprised the writer. As he fixates on the beauty of the landscape. That has I think sparked, hasn't it? Sparked a new discovery. Okay, so let's have a look at this then. So finally Mayhew uses a list to show his excitement of the light contrast in the evening. So again, when he's talking about language, you're saying that there's going to be a list here. Is excitement. Gaslights along the different lines of road burst into light, some railway signal. The reference to light, lamps and fireflies provides a sense of celebration as the writer can elaborate on the view. The verb burst emphasised the sudden appearance of brightness, providing the explosion of light, causing Mayhew to continue his appreciation of the view even as night falls. This seems to have surprised the writer as he fixates on the beauty of the landscape that has sparked a new discovery. And again, I think we've mentioned sufficiently about the view and how it links to that. So we've got 3 clear Peel paragraphs. We can see how we've zoomed into a particular subject terminology. We looked at that method, and then we've looked at the best word that we can deepen our response to as well. Again, you would have 15 minutes to do this, but again, once you've got to this point in time, it's just finding those 3 quick and easy quotations, and don't look for anything that's going to make things too difficult. Make life easier for yourself by identifying a subject terminology that you can explode, that you're able to go into depth and detail. And remember, zooming in then on that key word will then allow you to reinforce your opinion linking to that language, to show the examiner you fully understand the extract and you fully understand the question and what it's linked to.